Greetings, everybody. Welcome to this special session on the Akebelen Awakening series in conjunction with Kumbukeni. My name, as always, is Oladele Dosumo. I'm the founder of the, I keep messing it up, Imagine Akebelen. And on our platform, you that follow us know exactly what we do. We're here to decolonize our minds, awaken our consciousness, and actually tell the truth. Tell it as it is, undiluted, for people to actually make their own minds up. And that's why we're here. Unduku.
Karibuni, asanteni kwa kuwa nasi. Again, the language is Kiubuntu, otherwise known as Kiswahili. Welcome and thank you for being with us. The name is Nduku. I am the host on Kumbukeni. I am looking forward to our conversation today. And for those of you who will be listening, reach out to our brother. He needs our love as much as we can give it. Just reach out to him. I'm referring to Brother Ahmed Kabalo, the founder of African Stream. So just reach out.
Okay, Ahmed, if you want to introduce yourself to our audience, I'm sure you're well known, but most people don't know you, well, because they know African Stream, but most people don't know the face behind the African Stream. If you can just introduce yourself to our audience, please, and just say a little bit about yourself, please.
Sure. So my name is Ahmed Kabalo. I'm the founder of the now defunct African Stream. I am of Sudanese heritage. I describe myself as a Sudanese person born in the UK. My family went to the UK as refugees. And now I've come back to where I belong, and that's the African continent. So thank you so much for having me on your platform, and I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Fantastic. Okay, to start with, let's start from the beginning. What was the thought process behind you starting the platform African Stream? What was the crux? What made you do it? Let's start from there.
I mean, it's been a long process. From a child, I understood that the thing that's holding us back most is how we're represented, how we're misrepresented, how we're deliberately misconstrued and presented to the world as some sort of backwards people, some sort of uniquely corrupt people, some sort of group of people that are just unable to manage their own affairs. And I just knew that just was wrong. So I've always had this desire to change that. At first, it would just be me, ranting and raving at university to anyone that would hear it. I think many of us have been on that journey, to the point where people were like, I don't want to hear that stuff. And then when I became a journalist, I worked for an outlet called Press TV, which primarily focuses on the Middle East, or what is really referred to as West Asia, because there is no Middle East, there's no Middle West, there's no Middle South, no Middle North, West Asia. And, I don't want to diss the outlet because they gave me a lot of opportunities, allowed me to travel the world. I went to Nicaragua, I went to Venezuela, Iraq, Sudan. I did a lot of great work there. However, I was constantly trying to push African stories, and I was constantly being told that, people are just not interested in this, unfortunately. And then what would happen is I would do an African story and it wouldn't get the views or the numbers. So it'd reinforce the idea that people are not interested. And my argument at the time was the reason why it's not getting views is because you do it once in a blue moon. So people are not coming to you for this. But if you had more of a dedicated section, they would be interested. So yeah, I was constantly trying to push African stories, constantly trying to organize, being involved in Pan-African circles, Pan-African activism. This is what I was interested in. This was my calling. And I had a colleague who was interested in Muslim affairs. That was his thing. Yeah. So he set up, while he was working at Press TV, he simultaneously set up a Muslim website, and he did very, very well. And he was saying to me, yeah, you're always banging on about Africa. Why don't you do the same thing? And I was like, yeah, maybe. Do you think it would work? So it's something that I explored. And then I met some individuals who I presented the idea to, and they were like, okay, we'll support you for a couple of years to give you enough time to be self-sufficient. But after a couple of years, you need to start reducing that support to 25% from 25% funding from, you know, YouTube monetization, supporters, etc. The third year it would be 50% and so on. So we were on progress to do that. And then obviously the enemies of African people everywhere, i.e. the imperialists, put an end to that quickly by attaching something to us that doesn't need any evidence, doesn't need to be verified. It's just a smear that has been used consistently for all of our revolutionary forefathers. You know, you can't think of a revolutionary forefather from the African continent that hasn't been smeared with the same thing. So in some ways, we're in very rich company. But because of that, they knew it is a tactic that can work. You know, and saying that we're Kremlin propagandists, that if we talk about colonialism, neo-colonialism, imperialism, the over-reliance on the US dollar, the way that our markets produce things not for the survival and sustenance of our people, but for foreign markets, that we can't compete based on this neoliberal marketization, the Washington Consensus. We talk about these things. We're not talking about it because we've understood the context of our surroundings. We talked about it because some Russian guy has implanted the idea in our head. That's what they're trying to tell the audience. It didn't work with our audience. No one believes the smear that they said, but it works in terms of the financial corporate side of things. It's very difficult to try and monetize after the Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, says that on such a big platform. You know, so it was kind of like death by a thousand cuts. He said it. We were then taken off all these social media platforms, and we were trying to rebuild and trying our best to rebuild, but it was so difficult to rebuild with that smear, and it made that plan of trying to become financially self-sufficient within 3 to 5 years very, very difficult, damn near impossible.
Okay, in terms of once the smear campaign started, was there a plan B for you guys? Was that any other, what do you guys think? Okay, we can go a different way, a different route.
No, to be honest, and that was a mistake. And anyone that is planning to do what we're doing, again, that's something that you need to think about. Hopefully, we fell so you don't have to fall. We didn't have our business hats on. You know, I'm a journalist. I'm an activist. I'm trying to now think of the business side of things now after the fact. But I definitely should have thought about these things beforehand. I should have thought about monetization. I should have thought about apps. I should have thought about all these different platforms. But I just wasn't thinking about my aim initially for African Stream was, you know, I didn't want to preach to the choir. That was my thing. Yeah. I really didn't want to preach to the choir. I've been in circles where everyone agrees with each other, and it's great, but it doesn't change anything. What I was thinking about with African Stream is when I get told to stop with that preaching stuff, I wanted to reach those people. I wanted to reach my 17-year-old niece. I wanted to reach people that are not necessarily political. So that's why we were on these apps, because that's where these people are. Yeah. And what I'm very proud of is when we got taken off these social media accounts, when we got attacked, all these things, so many people said, you completely changed how I saw the continent. You completely changed how I understood things. And that's exactly what we were trying to do. So there's a lot of people that say after the fact, oh, your mistake was you was on Instagram and you were on these places. You should have been on African-owned, Black-owned. It's true, we probably should have, but there's not. If you can point them out, let me know, number one. And number two, we wouldn't have had the influence that we had.
Yep.
So that's what we were trying to do. We weren't just trying to get hand claps from people that agree with our point of view. We were trying to change people's minds. We were trying to change people's perspectives. And as we said, the tagline of African Stream was trying to reshape the narrative. And I think we did that. I really think we did that.
Yeah, brilliant. Unduku, before you go, let me just Kwabena just put a question there. For those who don't know about
quickly before the question, I like
Okay.
that perspective that Ahmed is approaching what happened to them in a positive way. And it's hard to get there once something that you've built with so much hard work is taken out. But to look at it as we did our job, we accomplished our mission. And because so we can celebrate African Stream.
Yeah.
African Stream can go down in history as a platform that started the movement of Africans being embracing their sovereignty as far as having their own media platforms.
Yeah.
It's not a failure. It is a foundation that inspired a lot of us and gave us an opportunity to learn what to look out for. So I'm glad you're taking that positive outlook on it. Go on, Oladile.
Yeah, Ahmed, because I can tell you on a LinkedIn platform, I was basically your outlet. I was posting basically everything. I've seen it, I'm posting it. I'm seeing it, I'm posting it. So we were posting it. It's a great. I told you to see if you're not on LinkedIn, but you said your account's not working. But I think you need to go on it just to check. We were posting a lot of your stuff on there. Oh yeah. The question here is because a lot of people don't know about the allegations against you. So can you just tell people, let people know exactly what were the allegations? What was the propaganda? What did they say you did? For them to go so cutthroat with you guys.
Sure. I'll start. The Anthony Blinken thing was the final thing, so I'll start from the beginning, if you allow me. It started. Firstly, there was NBC. I think either they're American or Canadian.
I think they're American.
Which one they are? Yeah. American, yeah. So it's like on
NBC is American.
It's the liberal side of the imperialist wing of the media. Yeah. So you have the Fox News on the one side, which is the right, and then you have the liberal.
They're both as bad as each other. So
yeah. As Malcolm said, either way you get bitten, whether it's the fox or the wolf. Either way you get bitten. So they hit us up with an email saying African Streams being named in this report by Onyx, saying that you spread disinformation to 40 million African Americans. Do you want to respond to the allegation that you spread disinformation? Sent me the email on a Sunday evening, and he says you have by Tuesday to respond. Yeah. Then he said, ignore that previous email. You have by Monday to respond. Yeah. So you can imagine your faces are basically was my response. Yeah. So then I was obviously pissed because I just thought, you're going to say that we spread disinformation, but you haven't cited a single example of what disinformation we spread. How do we respond to an allegation without you explaining any specifics? It's like me saying, brother, do you want to respond to the allegation that you're a liar? The first question you'll ask me is, what have I lied about? Yeah. So we wrote a response, a very scathing response. And the response wasn't included in the article, of course. So then we published the response, yeah? And when we published the response, it went so viral, it got reposted so many times that the journalist that wrote the piece had to put his Instagram and his Twitter on private, yeah? So we were mentioned alongside the craziest group of, so we were mentioned alongside the Breakfast Club. I don't know if you know the Breakfast Club. Yeah. The Shade Room.
And them?
Yeah, Shade Room.
Mm-hmm.
What's his name? Reza Islam from the Nation of Islam. It's like the most random group of people.
All legit, let's be clear, all legit black media outlets. Legit.
Sure. But they're also different to each other. You know, I respect many of those outlets, but we're all very different. The only one that they gave an example for was the Shade Room. Yeah. And they said the Shade Room said this, and it wasn't true. That was it. And then the rest of the thing, they said the point of these outlets is to make people lose trust in the Democratic Party and not vote for Joe Biden, something like that. Yeah. So it was all. I'm building a picture here because it's all about the elections, the elections between Trump and Harris at the time. But at the time when the article came out, Biden was still the person that was running for office. And this idea that the Democratic Party is owed the black vote, and any media outlet that dares to be critical, we were critical of both.
Yeah.
Let's just be clear. You know, we're not no MAGA people. We hate both sides. But because the MAGA group doesn't follow us, I assume, or they saw us as a threat to the Democratic Party in an election year before an election. Yeah. So that was the first thing. So we smoked that journalist, Marquise. He put his thing on private. Empire tried, Empire failed. Yeah. Then came number 2. We did a report on how from George W. Bush, Barack Obama, Donald Trump, and Joe Biden have all rained drones down on Somalia.
Yeah.
Yeah. We named exactly how many drones each president has rained. And we said, whoever gets elected in November, we can guarantee drones are going to rain down on Somalia. So Voice of America, which is US state-backed media, they did a response to us, a video and an article, saying African Stream distorts the truth on Somalia. Sorry. But because of what happened to the previous journalist, they couldn't find a journalist to put their name to it. Yeah. So the person, the author of the article, she had no digital footprint at all, which made me a bit suspicious. I was like, who's it? This person's first article is attacking us. That doesn't make no sense. And then one of my colleagues took a screenshot as soon as the article was up, and it was a different name of a Kenyan-based journalist. Yeah. So what that showed me is she didn't want to get the Marquise treatment. So she was like, put a name, and then was like, no, and went with an A-list, which is the greatest compliment to us. We did a response to that also went viral. Yeah. And then the YouTube video the Voice of America did, you could check the comments. They got ratioed, as the young people say. That's where every single comment underneath is saying, "You African Stream destroyed you guys. You guys are talking nonsense." No one is supporting what they're saying. So they failed. And I think at that point they were like, "Okay, we're not going to be able to just discredit this outlet. So we need to do something more." And that's when Friday the 13th, September, it was Friday the 13th. I woke up that morning. I told my wife, it's Friday the 13th. I don't like this day. And she said, that's Christian stuff. I don't think you believe in it. I was like, no, I don't. I just don't like that day.
Yeah, your guts were telling you.
My gut was telling me something is happening today. Friday the 13th, I'm going to an Eritrean wedding, ironing my trousers. And then I have a friend that works one of these mainstream media outlets, and he was watching. So he was told by his supervisor, you need to watch the press conference because Antony Blinken is speaking. Yeah. So usually press conferences are done by the press secretary. Yeah. Not like when Blinken comes, there's usually a big announcement. There's going to be a ceasefire in Gaza, the war in Ukraine. Something big is going to come when it's Blinken. So he was there watching live, thinking something big's going to happen. And they just said, they just mentioned us. We're the big news. It doesn't even seem real. It doesn't even seem real. Yeah. So he said that he went on our website and he says the African Stream digital platform, which has millions of followers across platforms, is secretly run by RT, is what he said. And then he went on the website, and a website we say, giving a voice to Africans both at home and abroad. He says, he quotes the website and then he goes, in reality, the only voice they're giving is to Kremlin propagandists. Yeah. So my friend sends me this video. This is what I don't like about this whole WhatsApp age. Back in the day, someone would just send you a video like that. Do you know what I'm saying? They'd call you and say, my bro, like, where are you? Take a seat. Like, I've got some, we've lost that part. People just fire your videos, can just change your life. Yeah. So he sent me a video and I watched it. and I swear I thought it was AI. I called him and I was like, bro, this isn't funny. Like, why would you? His response was, I wouldn't play with you like that, bro. It's real. And everything just stood still. Life, I was just like, what the hell is going on? Where the houses come from? And then my wife was like, oh, the taxi's arriving in 15 minutes. So I don't even have time to process this. Yeah. And then I go to this Eritrean wedding. Bear in mind, I live in Kenya. So a lot of people I haven't seen for a couple of years. I'm just like a zombie. People like saying to me, I'm just completely looking past them, just in a different world. I'm like, is this one of those multi-layer dreams? You know, like a dream within a dream. This can't be real life. This can't be real life. And then obviously, I'm in the UK. My whole team is in Kenya. We have a correspondent in Burkina Faso, a correspondent in Nigeria. And the messages, my phones are going up. Everyone's looking for reassurance. What does this mean? Are we going to get in trouble? What does it mean? Are we going to get in trouble? Are we going to have to continue? Shall I look for another job? So I'm having to process this and try to reassure people at the same time with the same thing that we always say, nah, don't worry, everything's going to be okay, when I've got no idea if everything's going to be okay. But yeah, that was it. Went, spoke to some of my activist friends. They put me in contact with some lawyers. I'm like, surely we can sue them. Surely isn't this like textbook defamation? And they said, the problem is, had it been any other government, you might have had a case. But the US government will just say, oh, we're relying on intelligence files that we're not willing to disclose. So they could just say anything. The leaks could say anything. They could say, you're a terrorist.
Yep.
And say, when you ask for proof, they'll just say, it's based on intelligence. So yeah, it was a crazy time. But something that my dad always told me is, whenever something happens, the first week after it happened is always the worst, and then things get better. Yeah. So I was just like, this is as bad as it gets. Let me just like try and just ride out this week. Yeah, and then within what was crazy, within 48 hours, our YouTube channel was taken down.
Yeah.
Within 72 hours, our Instagram channel was taken down. Within that same week, Twitter sent us a message saying we've been demonetized. We can stay on Twitter, but we've been demonetized.
Imagine that.
And then the following week, this one's the crazy one, our Gmail accounts were taken down.
What?
So all of the workspaces, A Cabello at African Stream gone, African Stream at Gmail gone, and here's the kicker: our G Drive, all of our footages. And you become complacent. You think you should back up everything on a hard drive, but you don't. The truth is, so we lost so much footage. The good thing is, because Twitter wasn't taken down, and we post so much on Twitter, we managed to just download a lot from Twitter and then reuse it that way. But all of the B-roll, all of the raw footages, all of that was gone. We were doing a documentary on Modibo Keita. We had to start that again from scratch. So many projects we had to start from scratch. We were doing a long project on Central African Republic. Had to start that from scratch. It was a mess. And then what else happened? The interesting thing that happened, Stanford Observatory, which is a university, the research department did a hit piece on us on the Sunday. So he said the message on a Friday. They did a hit piece on us on the Sunday. The hit piece was so detailed that they obviously had prepared it before Anthony Blinken's statement, which showed some coordination. Yeah. And also they said numbers that weren't accurate. So they said, I think we had like 460 something thousand followers on YouTube. They said 450 something. So they had started writing when we were on 450,000 followers. So it just made you think this was like this is like a coordinated attack. Do you know what I mean?
Glad you said that, yeah.
A coordinated attack with different cells up. TikTok as well took us down, which was a shocker, because obviously TikTok is allegedly Chinese owned. But then what we found out is, you know, when Trump, I think it was in his first term when he was threatening to take TikTok down, they agreed to basically be regulated in the West. So that even though it's Chinese owned, it's controlled. I think I looked it up, like Denmark, Canada, and there was somewhere else where so the people that are regulating and deciding whether you get a strike are from these places. Which makes sense, because you can cuss out China all day long on TikTok, but you can't cuss out
Exactly.
you can't cuss out the West, and you can't cuss out. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
I just put out. We had a session this weekend with Dr. Wahome about vaccinations, and I got another slap in the hand by TikTok, and I was like, because it was talking about aluminium in vaccinations. China does not do this business. This has to be the West, the US, who's worried about this. So you're right. And that did happen where when the US government, Congress and them and everyone, not just the president, were threatening TikTok with losing business in the US and access to the US market, they settled, they all had an agreement, and part of it was that the US will have some leverage, some form of control, percentage of control in how TikTok operates with the US audience. And definitely I agree. But as you're saying, coordinated, so the whole time you're talking, I'm like, oh, this is CIA Tactics 101. This is Confessions of an Economic Hitman. This is what John Perkins has always been telling us. This is how they operate. When we say to Kenyans, I say this to them during the protests and everything, this Ruto must go business. Ruto is a pimple on the face, on the body. Like, he's just a pimple. The issue that's going on with the body, he's just a pimple, a very insignificant pimple. Yeah. And I keep telling them about the system. Until you address imperialism, you are not doing anything to change your condition in Kenya. And so this is how imperialism moves. Their media outlets, same thing. The CIA, same thing. And the CIA has a history of using the media outlets to do this type of work. And so the fact that NBC and VOA put out, it started with an NBC journalist. They were shut down. VOA, it's all coordinated. They were shut down. And then Blinken comes out and makes a statement and makes sure he makes it on a platform where it means something, not just anywhere. He didn't have a speech on the tarmac while coming off a plane. He didn't have it he made sure he had it on a platform. Like, I'm talking about the venue where he was standing, a press briefing. And then the fact that right after that, Stanford Observatory writes something. So that even the educational organization, the institutions are a part of it. And we don't get it. We have no idea how wide the tentacles of the imperialist systems stretch. And anything that has to do with them, from the person who's the one who knows at least what's going on, who's cleaning their shoes, to the one who's receiving the money at the top, to the ones you never even meet, they're all connected. From their restaurants, as long as they're on the continent, they're connected. As long as they have business on the continent, they're connected to the CIA, the FBI, the government itself. They're connected to every entity that is trying to stop Africans from building our own self-determination when it comes to economy, politics, our social, our religion, everything. So I don't think it's a reach for you to conclude that this was an orchestrated attack on you, political attack on you. And like I said before, I think because you're an African outlet that was located in Africa, is why it was easier to take you, because you won't come back and say violation of freedom of speech. You won't do that. As an American citizen, you can file that with the Supreme Court. right? You can take it all the way to the Supreme Court and say, this is a violation of my freedom of speech. They know you're protected by that. And what that does is puts them under a huge risk, especially NBC. They would be shooting themselves on the foot because they're a media outlet. So whatever if they interfere with you as a media outlet, whatever happens for you as far as the court's decisions is going to set precedent for how they move. They're not going to mess with that. But if you're in Africa, whatever is decided is not going to touch them because African laws have nothing, it doesn't touch them. So very, very, very unfortunate. Very unfortunate.
And I agree 100% about the Ruto must go. This is something that this is the difference between us and I'd say the other African media outlets is they've covered the Ruto must go. Very rarely do they even mention IMF. Very rarely do they ever mention the larger structure. They just make it seem like these are protests against one man who's a bad man, and the people don't like this bad man. And you know, when we started African Stream, that's the conversation I was speaking to with the young journalists at the beginning, because it was a struggle finding journalists. Initially, I would try to find journalists and turn them into revolutionary journalists, and then I realized that's not the way to go. It was actually better to find activists and turn them into journalists, because the activists, their compass is at least pointing towards true north.
You have the mental decolonization already.
Yeah, but if your compass is off, there's no amount of training that I can do to get you to understand the picture. So it was just repetition. Okay, you've covered the story, but we need to go beyond this. Yeah, we need to go beyond this. We need to go into the macro, the structural. That's what we're interested in. Everyone else will cover this story the way that you've covered it. Yeah, which is the local, domestic, national, full stop. But that's not what we're here for. We're trying to connect the dots and explain what is the reason why this happens. We on African Stream, we published, I think that there was an IMF note to Ruto, or letter, where they said, if you push through these reforms, it's going to cause struggles to your people, and there's likely to be protests. Yeah, that's what they said to him.
Say that one more time. Start over. Please start over.
So
I almost have to pinch myself. I'm having another dream in a dream experience. Start.
So they said to him.
This is you actually found this out. You did the research and this happened.
Yeah. We can share it with you. So they said to him.
Who's the him?
The IMF, International Monetary Fund, said to William Ruto's administration, if you push through with these reforms, which we're advising you to push through with, it's going to cause struggles and pressure on your economy, but we advise you to persevere. Yeah, and there's likely to be protests. That's what they said. So if a president gets a message like that and still goes ahead, who's he really serving? Is he serving the IMF, or is he serving the people of Kenya? Yeah. He knows they're going to be protests. Protests are the things that's going to make it less likely for him to be re-elected in 2027. So he's even putting his own future election in jeopardy to please the International Monetary Fund. So this is what we're trying to say. These countries are not sovereign. We've got flag independence, but these countries are not sovereign. So when you say Ruto must go, it needs to go beyond that. It's almost like Black Lives Matter. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
We need to go deeper.
It's the start of
we need to go deeper.
It's a start of a conversation. It's not the end. There can't be a full stop after Black Lives Matter. There can't be a full stop after Ruto must go. Yeah. It doesn't solve anything. We replace Ruto with Raila. What does that change?
Same thing.
Huh? Yeah. What does it change? What does it change if we change him with any of the opposition candidates that are running against him now? Nothing, unless we fundamentally change the structure. That's why in the Sahel, they didn't say so-and-so must go. They said the French must go.
Exactly.
The US drone base in Niger must go. We need to really think about the CFA franc, that must go. They haven't done it yet. But these are the conversations. We need to unite in this fight against terrorism. That's why the AES formed. So it's already a much deeper conversation than Ruto must go, Black Lives Matter, defund the police. These are not, you know, and I don't mean no disrespect to the activists on the ground that are risking their lives. It's just, you know, sometimes you have to be a bit provocative to move the conversation on.
I think based on what you just said there, so people, and this is why we do what we do, people don't know that there's a hand behind the scene that's pulling all the strings. And the way Africans, and I'm putting it out there, we Africans tend to focus on the superficial, but we don't look deep to how did we get here? Why are these things happening? And these are the conversations that we need to have, because things just don't happen overnight. Africa is where it is right now because of the hands behind the scenes that are pulling the strings. And basically, like you said, Ahmed, African countries are not independent. We've got flag independence, but in terms of being sovereign independence, thankfully the AES 3 are doing something that the rest of them should do. But you can see 51 African countries are just still puppets, which is basically sad. It's sad.
I was gonna say, I don't know what your appetite is for so the international court does have some laws, and it's hard when you've been hit so hard and fallen so hard to pick yourself up and have the strength, especially with limited, if any, resources, and fight the fight that needs to be fight. But international courts have articles that protect your freedom of speech. So look into those, and and we have worked with Oladele, remind me.
The lawyer guy.
Yes,
yeah,
Kenyan lawyer.
I can't remember his name.
No, not PLO. Please do not even dare start.
I can't remember.
You're not a fan.
I'll find it.
Let me not do that publicly, but go on. No, he helped out with the Australian, the indigenous people of Australia, and now they have their case in the ICC. But he's fought. I'll remember his name. He was part of the committee that wrote the Kenyan constitution, the new one. Oh, man,
I'll send the name to you. But I can't remember.
Yeah, reach out to him or anyone else who has the appetite and is committed to doing the international court thing. And we want to support you. We want to come and join, because this is us. This is all of us under attack. It's not just you. So, and we can push that move, because I'm all about all of us working as one. I think we are stronger if we work as one. And therefore, this would be a fight that we all join in. This would be a lawsuit by all of us. At least you got that from me, Kumbukeni. So if you get the lawyer that has the appetite, and it doesn't have to be him. If he decides he doesn't want to do it, we can get someone else, even a white person. Because you have John Brown. We have that history, right? We can get a John Brown legal person anywhere in the globe who's willing to do this. But I'm saying to you, just think about it. Let us know what the appetite is, because this is a fight that we should not let go. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to stand up on our 2 feet and build an African platform. Right now, we cannot be independent. We're very dependent on their systems, and therefore we have to make sure that we put the protections that we need right now while we are under their systems. And this business of accusing terrorism or homeland security, because once you do that, secret level, and apparently the public cannot see. No, we have to figure out how we're going to say these actions have been abused by these nations, and these nations must be obligated to show the evidence when they accuse an African outlet of working with the Russians. At least show us one, and we can use cases from before that have set the precedent, where they had cases where they're accusing, I think, the Uhuru movement chairman Ali Yeshitela just finished a case with them. So they have to have some precedent in that case. So look into that, where it shows, if you accused me of working with the Russians, what do you need to present to prove? So look into that case and other cases that are related, and use it to go to the international court. And if it means we here in the US organizing so that it's a US driven, so that we can use US law, and I don't know how that would work. Just talk to the lawyer and see where I'm throwing these ideas to you and to those who are listening, to the global Wana Ubuntu community, so that if there are lawyers listening, you can help us figure this out. If there's a way the US African platforms can be the ones who file this so that we can use freedom of speech, then let us know.
Oh, sure. You're based in the US?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't think we should let this one go. This is a huge violation of our freedoms, and we have to stand together because it sets a precedent. It sets a precedent that the head of state, not head of state, what are they called again?
Secretary of State.
Secretary of State can just go to TV, make an allegation, whatever he wants, and all these organizations that should be operating under the protections that, like, of the Constitution that protect us, just fall in line, and there's nothing you can do to protect yourself. So they'll be able to stop anyone for anything. We can't allow that.
Yeah, but Undercoat, don't forget, they've always done this, and nobody. They've always done it, and nobody's stopped them. I know what you're saying.
I'm not that African who thinks the US is untouchable. I am not, because I know they have laws that when presented, they will have to answer to. I am not. I think their time is up, and we have to be smart and strategize on using their own laws to let them know that this cannot continue. We deciding that the US is untouchable, we might as well give up and lay down and wait to be killed. Honestly.
Yeah, but this is my perspective, Nduku, and we can fight the American fight, but our battle is Africa. That's our battleground. That's basically where we need to focus on. In terms of internationally, we can fight that battle, but the focus should be our homeland. How do we protect our homeland, Africa?
They came to our homeland and attacked us.
Yeah, this is where we need to. That's the battle that we need to fight. Internationally, we can do all these things as we do, but for me, and I'm just putting it out there. How do we protect Africa?
Yeah. Also, what happened to us was more powerful than any African dream story. We're trying to get the point across that we're not sovereign, that we're not independent, and then this happens to us.
It actually made your case.
Yeah,
it made the case so strong, especially because the hypocrisy of it. They fund so many media outlets in the continent. They were paying $1,000, I think, in Zambia, for every negative story about China. So if you were to write a negative story about China, you get paid $1,000.
Yep.
There was they funded a radio station in Zimbabwe, which just constantly pumped out anti-Mugabe propaganda, pro-settler propaganda. They've been funding. So it's like, what's the saying? Every accusation is a confession.
Yeah. I think David Hundain actually, he did an article about this. I actually posted that. Actually, I saw that he did something about that.
Yeah. So it's crazy, but I hear you, sister, and I wish I did have hope in the legal system. But the problem is because we've covered so many stories on African Stream about even our so-called victories are not victories. So the Namibians took the Germans to court for reparations for the genocide, and everyone thinks this is a victory for African people. But you look at the details of the settlement: 1.3 billion euros to be paid over 30 years on projects that the German government decides. It's like, the Mau Mau in Kenya, the Mau Mau case in Kenya. Everyone sees that as a victory. Again, if you look at the details, it's not a victory at all. Just now, they just threw out the Congolese case against Apple. Despite all of the evidence they threw it out. So I want to be optimistic, but I just feel like that is their court in their land. Yeah. You're just wasting money, time, and energy. The most important thing that we can do is learn from what we've done, talk about what happened, and use it as a stepping stone for something bigger and better. Something bigger and better. There'll be something, I'm confident there'll be something bigger and better than African Stream. And this has hopefully woke up the few progressive governments that are on the continent or movements that this is what they need to do next. Yeah, I'm sure in the Sahel, they saw what happened to African Stream. I'm sure that right now they're working on some sort of revolutionary media to replace us. If they're not, they weren't paying attention. But that's everything happens for a reason, and we need to bounce back bigger and stronger.
So, Ahmed, let's entertain this nonsense by Anthony Blinken. Were you working with the Russians?
No, of course not.
Did Vladimir Tinkerbell reach out to you, or whatever other? Did you have lunch with any Russians? Did you have breakfast with any Russians? Was there any reason to think that you worked with Russians?
The only reason is because I used to work for Press TV. That's the only association I can think of. Press TV is Iranian state-funded media. And what else? Because we covered the Sahel the way that we did. Yeah, so obviously in the Sahel, they're quite open about their relationship with the Russians in fighting terrorism.
So there's no direct affiliation that you have with Russians?
No, and we had a journalist in Burkina Faso. So we were covering things on the ground in real time. Yeah. So maybe they thought, there's no way these guys know these stuff, independently, just as journalists. They must have some fax machine tied to Moscow.
CIA operatives and the girlfriends that are sent to sleep, this is, actually. So this goes to a bigger question. As a media outlet that's African and wants to be sovereign, the journalists that you train, advising them not to be weak as far as running their mouth, who they're sleeping with when they're in these locations, because you never know who's collecting evidence. You know what I'm saying? So you have your person. I'm not saying they did this, but now we are realizing it's good to know your enemy and understand your enemy, right? And if you do have the time, the other suggestion for me, because I know it will help us as well as a community, global community, is look into your people and ask them what interactions they had, but also look, because you seem to have, from the stories that you're telling us, you seem to have sources that are giving you stories that some of us can't even, so use those sources to see exactly who was involved. Because I think there's a lot to uncover that is out there, and I'm one who's looking for the long-term fight, right? I don't want the quick wins right now. I want to make sure that the way we bring them down is going to be so hard, they'll never think again about rising. And we will put strategies and measures and defense mechanisms that will never be broken ever again. So this is a long fight agenda. I definitely, and you can ask Oladile, do not believe in the ICC or any international court. That space is just to cause disruption. That's it. That's just to show that as an African, I'm not going down quietly. You know what I'm saying? When you're in a fight and someone is beating you, you're going to lose that fight, but you make sure you get their eyes so swollen that you too got some in, right? So it's the fight that your enemy is strong in certain ways, but you're going to do the best you can to fight. And I don't think, and maybe we can ask the Australians, Oladile, I don't think you have to pay money for the case to go to ICC. I don't know what the time is.
I can ask you. Okay, just next question, just to round this off, because we're on about 49 minutes now. My brother, based on what you've just told and everything you've told us, so what advice would you give to platforms out there? Because we've been reaching out to a lot of platforms that we need to build our own Afrocentric, and I say Afrocentric platforms. What kind of platforms that the external influence cannot infiltrate? So what would advise, based on what's happened to you, what advice would you give to, because we're trying to build as well?
There's so many of our people that are building the platforms. They're just building it for somebody else. If you were to go into the Meta Silicon Valley headquarters, you'll find Africans everywhere. So there needs to be an incentive and a belief that if these Africans step away to do their own thing, that we'll support them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you can understand the allure. You're working with the highest spec technology. Yeah. You're getting all the praise, and you're going to step away from that for the cause. And then you realize you've done this for the cause, and then people are still on that other platform. People haven't migrated across. So it's not, it's a joint initiative. Yeah. We need to show these creators that if you create something, we will join. Yeah. We will join. I'm not a fan of Jay-Z at all. I think he's an imperialist capitalist scumbag, you know, who always puts the check over his people. But let me just say this. Even him, if you look at, he tried to set up Tidal, which apparently gave, you know, the musicians a greater share of the profits of the music. And he's an African guy, he's someone that's very popular, but no one moved over from Spotify and Apple Music. So eventually, Tidal just became losing money. Yeah. Now, obviously, I'm not a fan of Jay-Z, but you can still learn a lesson from that. If Jay-Z can't convince, with all of his clout, with all of his Beyonce, Beehive fans, if he can't convince Africans or people of African descent to migrate to a platform that's just the same, you can understand how a young creative in Instagram or Facebook or TikTok isn't ready to make that jump. So we need to show them that if they do it, we will support them. How we do that, I'm not sure.
I think this is the first time, it definitely is the first time for me to learn about this. So that's another problem we have. The news is not getting to the Africans that it exists. I've never heard of Jay-Z having a platform that was independent.
It was a music platform. It was a rival to Spotify and Apple Music.
Yeah.
He had it, and it just, no one ever migrated across. And he did this big showcase, you know, where he had all these stars, and he still can get people to migrate across. There is an issue that we have collectively in terms of, not we, I'm going to say this generation has, because from what I understand, the older generation, they love nothing more than supporting their own. But the new generation, there is something there about supporting our own. You'll see it here in Kenya. We see it here in Kenya. You know, there's the idea that if it's somehow Kenyan made, Kenyan manufactured, that somehow it's an inferior product that you can get from outside. So we need to change that. And once we change that, then we're going to have, you know, our own indigenous platforms, our own indigenous cars, our own indigenous Teslas that don't exploit children in the Congo. We're going to have it all. We just need to change the mindset that if we create something, our people won't support it.
Okay, any question, Andrew?
If you were still on air, what story would you want to tell the people now that you know of?
Ooh. What story would I want to tell people right now? It's a very good question. I'd do a deep dive into this fake African diaspora versus African American beef. I'd explore who's behind it, where it comes from, and whose interest it ultimately serves. That'd be number one. I would try my best to get the focus again on Congo in particular. Congo and Sudan, of course, but Sudan, because of the recent statistics about famine and stuff, has started to come up in the news. Congo is being completely neglected. I would really dissect this fake peace deal that was signed. Unbelievable. And do some more investigations into Felix Tshisekedi. when we were on African Stream, we focused mostly on Paul Kagame, but actually now, after signing that peace deal, I'm starting to see that there's a lot of collaboration going on. It's not just Rwanda exploiting Congo, which it is on behalf of, you know, multinational and an imperialist, but it's also Congolese facilitating the exploitation of Congo, and that's something that we need to explore a bit more. But so many stories. There's so many stories to cover. Yeah, but those ones just off the top of my head.
Yeah, no, brilliant. Thank you. I agree with you. I agree, absolutely.
Okay, just to round this up, is there any questions you want to ask, Nduku? Because with the
I'm overwhelmed. And every now and then we are told to detach our emotion from the things that are happening.
It's impossible. It's impossible. I can't.
It's impossible.
We live it every day.
Human. We are not like the Urugu. For those of you who haven't read Marimba Ani's book, Urugu, that is what she refers to the white devil. We are not like them, devoid of humanity. We are not like them, where like John Perkins, white man himself, so that you don't come at me for saying this, who says it's a death culture. They uplift a death culture, and we're not like them. So we have emotion because we have empathy, because we stand by humanity, because we are children of Ubuntu. And therefore, when something like this happens to one of our own, because we know that he is, Ahmed Cavallo is because we are, and we are because he is. We know that his fate is attached to ours. Therefore, it makes us angry, right? It makes us so angry we want to do something about it. And we will. Even if it takes 100 years, we will do something about it.
Okay, final question here is, knowing what you know now, what would you do differently?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
You know what, Ahmed, as you think about that, in the imperialist system, you could be Jesus Christ himself. But go on.
Yeah. I would have prepared myself for the inevitable attack. I would have done a newsletter, gotten people's email addresses. To this day, every now and again, someone messages me and says, "What happened to African Stream?" So because they just took us down, we didn't have an opportunity to tell the audience what happened to us. Had we had an email list and a newsletter and direct access to what they call the consumer, the audience, we could have maybe mobilized. There could have been street protests. Who knows what could have happened? That's number one. Yeah, I think that's the main one really. We built. It's so difficult to find like-minded people. And we created a space where we were getting 40 million views per month across all platforms.
Wow.
Yeah, 40 million views per month. So surely we could have directed those people into something. Maybe we would have had more day of actions. During our peak, we could have had a day of action for Congo, day of action for Sudan, day of action.
You still can. You still can.
We can, but we've got direct communication with that with 40 million. It would have been a more smoother process. But yeah.
Your name still carries weight. African Stream still carries weight. And in fact, now more than ever. Yeah. So I'm just going to say that. I'll say less. Your name still carries weight. And as a form of giving you comfort, even if you had that email list, your Gmail accounts were taken down. So you'd have lost it anyway.
Good point.
Which is why I was saying it's hard to answer that one in the imperialist system. So the only way you would have is if you had a covert entity detached from them, and we know that doesn't exist, right? Because even the ones that claim to be black spaces, the servers are white space servers. The website hosts white space website hosts. So there's no such thing currently as an independent Black internet space. Even the word internet and the concept of internet, it cannot be Black owned currently.
Yeah, 100%. Something that I'm in two minds about is the team did say to me, is it wise for us to keep cussing out these US politicians in an election year? Should we just ease off? Should we just ease off? Should we just ease off? Wait for the elections to be over and then get back on their ass? Because you know how crazy they act. Every now and again, you know, I don't really have regrets, especially when we were grounded in truth and everything that we said was true. But every now and again, I do think maybe we should have just chilled off, just waiting for the election.
Was that the team collectively that said that, or an individual?
Just a few members, like
I said, look into your team and see who had lunch with who had tea with who. No, I'm not joking at all. I'm not joking at all. Like, for real, I am not joking at all. Look at who slept with who.
Yeah.
Because that, again, probability, we all learned it in school. The two possibilities are the two outcomes are possible, or two causes are possible.
The CIA stopped her in her tracks.
All right, my brother. Anyway, we thank you very much for being here. If we got a space. If you want to do anything, just reach out to me, man. We can put it out there. You got platforms you can reach out to us. We can do stuff together. So yeah, you know, you're more than welcome to be part of us. We appreciate you, and the legacy will stay on, because I know you still post on the Instagram, and you did a story about Sudan today, and I've already shared it on LinkedIn page. I imagine a couple of pages. I've already posted it. So whatever you put out, we're basically pushing it out there, because people need to know what's going on, and that's basically what.
That wasn't my post. What happens is people do collaborations. They send me
Okay.
I'm just using my platform to now
share.
Yeah. But yeah, man, you said you're relocating to Nigeria soon.
Oh yeah, my brother, I can't wait.
When you touch down and you're settled, let me know, man.
Yeah. Because we can't stay in the plantation forever. You know, we need to get away from here. Knowing what we know, and obviously with your experience, with my experience, and we know we're in an evil place, so we need to get out.
Agreed, man. Agreed. And
okay, thanks
to all of the African people.
Yeah.
In the UK or in Europe right now.
Yeah.
Like, Africa is actually, there's a lot of opportunities out here. Yeah. Give it, if you can, come out for a couple of weeks, a month, and just see what can happen, because they're putting up flags. They're letting you know that you're not welcome. It's time to come back home.
It's time, because in as much as I know not everybody can get back. But what I say to people is the people who have a decolonized mindset, you need to think differently, because if you're still in a colonized mindset, it's a bit difficult. And you see a lot of Americans going to Ghana, and most of them are going back because they've come back with a colonized mindset. And if you come into Africa with a colonized mindset, it's not going to be for you.
Yeah.
But if you decolonize your mind before you come back, then you will fit in properly, because you can see it for what it is. So that's basically, that's how I say it. Anyway, Ahmed, we appreciate you. Thank you very much, my brother. Thanks for being part of our platform, and we'll be in touch. And thank you very much.
Thank you, bro. Peace.
Thank you.